Hi everyone, I'm Marie and we are coming to you live from Living Felt because it's Happy Woolly Wednesday! Oh, and by reading your post, we can tell that it's a hot one where a lot of you are, but if you're feeling the pumpkin weather coming on or at least wishing for it, give us a hello pumpkin in the live chat today, and thank you all so much for being here. Me and the fairies are very much ready for fall, and we thank you all for helping to will it to life with us. Today we are going to be needle felting our hello pumpkin. You can turn this into a greeting card or you can turn it into a magnet. Lots of fun you can have with this or just use it in decoration. So this is what we are making today. You'll see a link to these supplies in the description. And yep, we're going to jump into that today. So I want to say hi to some folks. Hey out there to Marcia who asked about the supplies. We're going to go over all of those at the start of the show. Hi to Felicia in Georgia and Diane in Wisconsin, I want to say you're out there. Dara all the way in Arizona, Judith in Florida. Thank you everyone so much for being here and just making our midweek uplifted and super duper fun. Hi to Cindy in California and Rita. Hi to Peg in Texas where it's hot. We know it's hot. It's summer. We expect it to be hot. It's going to be hot through what, like September, October? Too hot in October still too. Hi to Mary Elizabeth in Connecticut and Leighton in England. Thank you all so much for being here. So we're going to be needle felting today in 2D. I'm going to show you how you can get the pattern and or the kit with everything you need to make this pretty picture, and then I'll show you how to turn it into your own Hello Pumpkin greeting card or how to turn it into a magnet for your fridge or office environment. But I have all the lovely fairies here with me. They're lined up to show you lots of stuff. I want to tell you that this is an interactive show, so participate in the live chat, ask questions, share a funny, give us your own inspired ideas. You and all the people who respond after the show down in the comments are entered to win a prize. So last week we had my friend Dawn Edwards here. She showed us her super fancy hats, and we're giving away 2 prizes from those commenters after the live show. Carol Zilke and Jerry Periello. You gals have won a Wet Felting a Beanie kit. So if you've not ordered with us before, go to our webpage, scroll to the bottom, click Contact Us, tell us you're a winner, and we will help you get your prize. Everyone else, stick around. We're going to give away prizes at the end. We're going to needle felt, but first up, the most magical of fairies in all of Woolly Wonderland. First up is the lovely fairy Angela.
Yay! Hello, friends. So if you would rather make a 3D sculpture of a pumpkin, this is our needle felted fairy tale pumpkin. And this kit comes with everything you would need to make this adorable little pumpkin, including the wool, foam, and needles. It's available on the site now, so go and get it. And then if you make it, send us pictures, because we always love seeing them. All right, up next is the wonderful fairies Trish and Alyssa.
Woo! Welcome, Trish!
Hi everyone. Today we wanted to share with you our 100% wool felt. This is one of our felt sheet bundles called Fall Festival.
It comes with 6 felt sheets in the size 8 inches by 12 inches, and these ones are violet, red, sunshine, orange, leaf, and berry. And we will be using these in the background for the project today, so this is perfect for that. Up next is Fairy Ann.
Yay! Hey y'all, thank you so much for being here with us today. And can we get a round of hearts for Trish, who just made her Woolly Wednesday debut? We love her, and we know you're going to love her too. So today's project, super cute pumpkins. We're so ready. We've been ready for pumpkins for weeks now. And we're also excited to share with you that today's project is a kit. So this kit is available to purchase now. There's going to be a link in the description below. It is ready to ship out. It's going to come with all of the wool and the background fabric needed. So if you don't already have an iron-on transfer pen, definitely get one of those guys. Or you'll also need needles and foam as well if you don't already have those. Thank y'all so much. And up next is Fairy Kayla.
Hey
Hey everybody, Fairy Kayla here. I have some new felt sheets that I wanted to share with you today. They're all 100% wool, 8 by 12. So I just wanted to share some new colors with you guys. Now I'm trying not to, I don't want to block my face here. So this dark blue here is Midnight. This is Prairie, Dark Chocolate, Pumpkin Pie. Can't not say it like that, I'm sorry. And Hunter Green. Yeah, so some new options for felt sheets. And then I did have a question for everybody. What kind of vehicle should you use for hay rides?
What kind of vehicle should you use for hay rides?
An automobile. I'm saving that one all day. I'll turn it back over to you, Maria.
Thank you. And can I just see a big round of hearts for the fairies? Thank you all so much. They have lots of fun stuff always going on here, and they have been making these kits that I'm going to share with you for what we are making today. So we're going to take a look at what you need for this project. This is what we have. This is the same colors and quantity of the MC1 wool pack that we'll use to make our Hello Pumpkin picture. You'll also get a wool felt sheet. Now the kit is going to come with our choice of this olive color. So you'll get this whole sheet, which means you could easily make 2, but with this wool pack you could make way more than 2. So if you want, you can get extra felt. And if you don't like this color, please list in the comments what color you would like. You're also going to need foam and felting needles. I'll show you which ones I'll use. In the kit, you're going to get this little handout, which includes a link back to the tutorial that we're doing today. You're going to get the pattern for the greeting card, and you're going to get a few different sizes of patterns for today's project. So if you want to get just the PDF, you can get that also. You can go to our website and search hello, and this will come up, either the kit or the PDF. And I'm going to turn mine into a cute little greeting card so you can print this out. I'm going to help those who are brand new get to the pattern transferred to the project. So let's jump into that and I'll show you how that works. And I'm excited to see what you all do with this project. So just a quick look here. When you download the pattern, what you can do is I printed mine onto regular cardstock. So we're going to give you this laid out, and it has a dotted line so you know exactly where to cut this so that it will fold to a 5 by 7 card. So you can just print this page out on cardstock or copy it onto cardstock and cut it out to the greeting card size. Then what you'll want to do is get your pumpkin pattern onto your felt, and that's really easy. We like to use our iron-on transfer pen for that, so that is an optional add-on to the kit, is the Sulky iron-on transfer pen. Some of you already know how this works because we use it all the time, quite honestly. And all you need to do is print out your pattern onto regular paper. You can use an inkjet printer or a laser printer. And what you're going to do is just transfer right over the design with this pen. So this is an example of one just as it's printed out, and here's one where I've actually just traced over the paper. You can get multiple prints out of each drawing, but there's no secret to it. I usually like to start the pen on another piece of paper and be gentle about it so that you don't blunt the tip. But you do need to get the ink flowing, especially if you have a brand new pen. Then all you're going to do is trace over whatever lines are meaningful to you in your drawing. So we use these in landscape drawings, we use these in pet portraits, we use them in all kinds of things. So if anything, just kind of stay inside the lines and go over all of the lines that you want to trace. Now for my pumpkins, I traced over both of these pumpkins and their stems, but I did not trace the perimeter. That gives me plenty of room to make my pumpkins bigger if I want and go outside of these lines. So this is regular paper, and the magic is from the iron-on transfer pen. You can add it on to the kit. So then you'll take your tracing here and you're going to turn it upside down, face down onto your felt. Here, I'll just have one. I've cut mine already, so I have the right size. You're going to put it face down onto your felt, and if you're worried about getting it straight, keep this edge straight, give yourself room, and keep this edge, the bottom of your paper, straight, and that way you can line up two straight edges and you don't have to worry about that. I have seemed to have pickup. Somehow I smeared my pen. Okay, so with this laying on here, we're going to iron it. Let me move my iron over and show you what we do here. And thanks all for coming today. So if you're already making pumpkins, share that in the chat. I know lots of you are already off and running on your pumpkins this year. I've been making pumpkins for weeks, and my dear husband has been watching me wear my pumpkin shirts already for weeks because I'm just ready for fall. Okay, so on the overhead, here we go. We're just going to hold this onto our felt for 20 seconds and go ahead and count 20 seconds, hold it in each place. As I mentioned, you can get multiple prints off of each drawing, but each one is going to be more faint than the last. And what you'll see is as you go over the drawing, it starts to show through the back. Now, I've already used this print once, and so you can peek, just lift it up and peek and see how you're doing if you're doing a second print. And at any time, if you don't get a very strong print or you're working on a very dark fabric, well, then you can always go back over it with an ink pen. If you want, or even I like using a pencil too. So I hope you can see that this was a fresh print and this was a double print, and meaning that was my second print off that piece. And so that works just fine. And now we just want to needle felt our design in place. So get your foam, your needle felting foam, and your wool ready, and let's get our design going. And I'll check in on a few of you and see how many of you are felting along. Maybe you've already been working on your own pumpkins, and I look forward to seeing that. So please do chime in, ask your questions, let us know as we go along. How we can help. All right, so I like making these sort of really painterly pumpkins, and I forgot to mention the one other supply that you might want to get, let me just show this to you here, is Heat and Bond Ultra Bold, and that's how I've turned these into greeting cards and magnets. You might also want a magnet, and you might also want cardstock. But look, you can just make a picture if that's all you want. You don't have to make a greeting card, but this Heat and Bond Ultra Hold is how I'm going to ultimately attach it to the card. Let's go with the one that's a little bit easier for you to see. And then here's the wool colors that I've chosen. I have orange cream, mandarin orange, hot orange, clay, dark chocolate, and this is River Rock. So we have several grays. River Rock is a nice, strong, dark gray. So this is the one that we've chosen for this project. Now, can everyone see my outline okay? I'll jump into chat over here and make sure that everyone can see the outlines really well. Okay, I see some hearts, doing good. Okay, good. All right. So this is what I like to do, and I'm going to put one of these pictures just up in the corner so you can kind of see as it's coming together. This is my pumpkin picture that I kind of like to, I like these to look kind of like you would see in acrylic paintings or something, and with like lots of different colors happening. And so what I like to do is make some blends first, and I like to make medium and dark blends with the hot orange and the clay, and then the hot orange and the dark chocolate. So let's make some hot orange and clay. I like to usually start everything with a 50-50 blend. So that means I'm just going to pull equal amounts of these two colors and blend them together. So you can do that by, first I've peeled these off. You can just make little layers by peeling them in half and then laying them one on top of another. And then we're just going to pull. So stack, pull, stack, pull, stack. Just let it twist around. We don't want this a completely homogeneous blend. We're just looking to kind of, for me, I want to kind of dirty up this hot orange and make it a little more ruddy, a little more earthy. And it doesn't need to be completely blended. I want to see some of that clay brown in there. Okay. Natalie says they look painted instead of felted. And that's kind of what I was going for, was a real painterly look. So now I have this nice medium brown blend. Now I'm going to make a dark blend and make enough. Like you saw what I did. I pulled a couple of inches. The darkest blend, we don't really need that much, but I'm going to do about the same amount. So I'm splitting the width of that fiber about a third. And then this one, we don't want it too dark. So be mindful of that as we go. And you might have a completely different approach to this. You might even choose completely different colors for your pumpkins. And I'll tell you just a little, not quite a spoiler, but this project, if you like this project, this is a really good primer for what we're going to do next week. Next week we're going to take this idea to the next level and really turn it into something and add a little something to it as well. So it's going to get bigger and it's going to be a little even more fun. So there we go. We have a homogeneous medium blend and a dark blend. Now I'm going to put these two aside, and I like to tackle these division lines in between our pumpkins, and I like to go ahead and trace it out in the gray. So you can trace it out in any color you want, but here's kind of how I do it if you look at this off to the side. So this is like, this lobe is going to be the last lobe that represents this lobe right here. I personally don't want to outline that outer lobe with gray, but I'm going to do the in-betweensies with the gray. So I'll just take a piece of this. You can draft it out and make it narrow. And your choice of needles, now I like to use a 42 triangle, a 40 triangle, a 38 star. It depends on how much you want to plunge that wool in there. But what I'm going to do is trace this line not over the top of the lobe, but I'll just start right about here, because I want that wool to be a divider in between the different lobes. Okay? So we're just going to trace all of these out. And I kind of do maybe one pumpkin at a time. You don't have to do this either, but I think it's easier for me to kind of color one lobe at a time. And let's do this one. So we'll get at least, we'll at least go from here over. So we look at how do we fill all this in. Okay, just draft it out. What color transfer pen do you use on black felt? You know, we're going to look at a darker fabric next week, but I'm going to tell you when it comes to transfer pens, and that was Karen Cott. Thank you for the question, Karen. So with the rule with the iron-on transfer pens is it has to be darker than your fabric, because the iron-on transfer pens are ink, they're not paint, so they do not sit on top of the fabric. So when you get to that point, you might want to use templates like we did in our Gnome for the Holidays pillows last year. That's free on our YouTube channel. And you can also use tailor's chalk. In our beach huts, we showed a way that you might use shapes to help you with outlines, but there are no transfer pens that sit on top of the black fabric. Years ago, they made a white, and I tried it out. This was like 20 years ago that I tried it, and really it was awful. I've used white jelly pins on top of the white, but again, you're drawing. It's not an iron-on transfer pen. So tailor's chalk, tailor's chalk, a jelly pen, cutout shapes are really the best way to work on a very dark fabric when you need sort of a template or pattern help. Okay, so you'll notice that I just trail off the bottoms, and I really don't worry about that because in my design I wanted to cut. I wanted these pumpkins just spilling out off of the shape. So that's fine if you want to follow that, and if you want to fill them out and make them a little more rounded, you can do that too. So do this for all of the inner lobes, but don't do it for these outer portions here. So you would do one here also. But let's jump to filling in some color. Now we've got our darkest and our medium. Start with whichever you feel more comfortable with. We're going to do layers and we're going to cover stuff up and go back over stuff. So I like to just start right adjacent to this little dark line here, and for my taste it's okay to cover it up. It's okay to go over it because it makes it not look so hard. I don't want it to look like marker, I want it to look like paint. And I'm going to start by just poking my wool right there adjacent to that line, and then I'm just going to tack it down right next to it. And notice I'm just dragging it. I want this to be very narrow and a bit organic. You don't even have to fill in every single little bit right now because we're going to layer. And I like to do this again just like one lobe at a time. So that's my darkest. Here's a bit of my medium. You can always blend it in after you get it, and we can always, after you grab it off the stack here, and you can always layer more on top. So here again, this is MC1 batting. If you're working with roving, like a New Zealand roving or something with a long staple length, it's not going to behave quite like this, but notice that I'm not pulling it really taut now. I want to lay it down in this real loose fashion. I want it to be kind of spread out and look not overly stripy. I mean, obviously, I have a stripy idea going on here, but I don't want to pull the fibers so tight that I'm creating lines. Instead, we're just layering. It's okay if you have little blobs of color in here, like little bits that are like little dyed bits. It's all gonna look very, very cool. So I did my darkest blend and then my medium blend, and now I'm just gonna go right in there with some straight up mandarin orange. And I'm not going to go all the way to the top because I want to leave that for my lightest blend, but I'm going to overlap these. Notice one is not necessarily right next to the other. It's just a little bit of overlap, and I don't want this orange to be overly strong, so I like to just stack it on top, just like that. Now, I'll tell you, you don't have to lay needle felt down each bit of color as you put it on. You could stack it all up and then needle felt it down as well. Both work, and I do both. I do both things. Now, I know people who are better at drawing and painting than me will say, where's the light source coming from? And you want the lightest part coming from the light source. I'm just treating this like an overall light source so that the edges or the lobes that poke out the most are going to be the lightest. That may not be technically correct, but that's kind of my approach. This is my orange cream. And what colors is Marie using? Oh, I'll share that again with y'all. So this is orange cream. If you go, in the beginning of the video, we list out the colors, and in the PDF in the kit, they're listed out. In the PDF, I think they're listed out as what we used in the video. Here we go. This is orange cream. I'm going to just, now see I'm outside the lines here, but I'm not worried about that because again, I'm going to be cutting off this design wherever I want it. And notice I just lay it right up there and just coax it in with your needle. You can always come in and modify all these little joins and bits, and you can always pull off wool if you don't want too much right there in that spot. This is really about layering, getting this effect, one on top of the other. I'm needle felting right now with my 42 triangle needle. You do want ultimately 100% coverage on your pumpkin, so you don't want any of the green background showing through. And you do want this needle felted really flat and not fuzzy. So you might like to go back over this with, you might like to use a coarser needle. This is a 38 star. You might also like to use like a 40 triangle. You might even like to use a handle, whatever you like, whatever's easiest for you. But you do want to needle felt this all down. So let's build another lobe. Let's just do that again. And I'm going to look for your questions. Let's see. Janine says that she likes the blending, the hand blending. Oh, Janine. Fabulous, fabulous felter that, Janine. Okay, so here we go again. I'm just going to go here again in the dark lobe. And like I said, if you want, you could kind of just tack down the top and draw this out and see how you like it. The darkest parts I just put here, right adjacent to that gray line. And they can be thicker down at the bottom. I tend to seem to like the bottom to have a little more of that strong color than the top. And now I'm going in with my medium blend. And we'll just tack all of this down. If you make blends up and you like them, and I do tend to start with just a 50-50 blend, but if you make blends up and you like them, you can always save them back in a little baggie and mark them so that you can come back to them again. Some people have great little albums and things that they save all their colors in, but you can save your blends as well. So we don't even have to tack it down all the way to move on to the next. And by the way, you can blend this. So like the orange, let's say you don't want it to just be the pure orange. Well, now take this orange and blend it with your blend. So a little bit of this orange with the medium blend, or just even the hot orange is fine. So however you want, I encourage you to blend this up and not have just solid colors. It's going to make your pumpkin that much more interesting if you blend it up. And all you have to do is stretch this out, and all the loose fibers, just plunk them down within the lines. Robin says that orange cream reminds her of popsicles in the freezer. I agree. It's definitely like a 50-50 bar, for sure. That's a fun thing with these, is that you can just decide whatever colors you want to go where. And I want to show you, I want to see if you can see this. Right here I have a definitive line between like the hot orange and this mixture. So you can do anything you want with that. But what I like to do is take some color, whatever's the color of my choice, and just ghost it right over the top. And that is going to make that line disappear. With MC1, you can do that because it spreads out like a web. And as a matter of fact, when batting comes off the drum carder, it's referred to as a web. So this being a short fiber, it behaves like that really well and is really great for layering and blending and such. And I don't rush this process, y'all. I might take a couple of nights to make a little pumpkin like this because I like just to have fun with it. It is about fun in the first place and refinement in the second place. So take your time, get everything flat and even and nice. Fill in all the holes, and if you can see mine is still wispy, it means that it's not felted all the way. The longer your fiber is, the more challenging that's going to be. So if you don't have our MC1 fiber and you have something else that behaves differently, well, just be patient with yourself on that and needle felt it as flat as you can. Okay, I'm just going to ghost now in some of this hot orange, so not a blend. And I like to just fill in a couple of spots. Not too much, but just fill it in so it doesn't look real uniform or real predictable. And again, just fill in all the spots. So let's do one more. We'll do this big guy, and then we'll jump to getting our stems done. Let me fill in this top here. Yeah, there are lots of projects you could use this with. So I like to start with a 50-50 blend, and then you blend blends with the next solid color. Blend your blends as well. But start with a 50-50 blend, and then you can make it, you know, darker, lighter, cooler, hotter, whatever really speaks to you. Now for this guy, he's kind of in the middle, right? He's the one you're looking kind of straight on that lobe there. So you might not want to go as dark in the corners because you're kind of facing that one right there. And this is my medium blend, and I'm also going to want to blend that with some of the orange. Now we're going to tack this down, and I want to tell you that all these needle marks are going to come out from you needle felting the fiber more solidly. So just keep needle felting the fiber down and packing it all down so that you don't see any more needle marks. So I'm going to go up to about there with this dark color and a little less predictable on this one. Make this one maybe a little thinner or something. And then might be a good one to practice just the layered blending before laying everything down. I'm going to blend some hot orange, maybe with some mandarin, and just make that a little bit hotter, tiny bit. Probably could have done double that easily. And what we can do is take this blend and maybe even put orange underneath it to be easy, like kind of fill in this little area right here. Just lay down some orange, and then on top of that, my little blend, I lost it already on my table. I'll put some of orange and hot orange blend. We can just kind of spread it out right over the top of it, just like that, and it's going to kind of hide that big orange blob I just laid down there. We can do likewise with the orange cream on the top. Start with like a nice big chunk of orange cream up here. Maybe a little more than that I need. Fill it in. I'm going to actually layer it a little bit under there. And then let's fill in the middle with some orange and orange cream and hot orange and just really mix all that up. So this way you don't really have to overthink it. And I do think that your wool should not be too thin. So meaning you don't want to see the substrate, your canvas, underneath. And I'll put a little bit of this right on top. Every one will look a little bit different. And now that we have all that on there, we'll just tack it down. But remember that this is not set in stone. It's not final. You can come back and layer other colors over the top. And I just want to stay right inside my little dark line. And I kind of always use my finger to kind of hold things down like that. Again, so just needle felt all of this flat. Keep layering things like you want them. Consider if you don't stretch it, then you're not going to have too many, real definitive lines of color drawing down. But if you kind of layer it like this and stack it like this, then it's all just going to kind of blend together really nicely. So needle felt all of your little pumpkin parts really, really flat. So see how flat these are, and this one is much bigger. That's because I piled so much wool on to start and left it all there. But I do like to kind of cover up these lines a little bit with the wool, and then wherever you like, come back and re-accentuate those dark gray lines if you want, or any area that you want to layer and change up how it looks a little bit. But let me know what you think about this little painterly process so far of layering. I think it's really, really easy, and if you make the blends, there's just a lot of freedom you can have in coloring each one. So you're going to needle felt each lobe until everything is nice and flat. And I do have one that I've been working on. I think you're going to think it looks, very similar to what we've been doing already. So I'm going to peel this one up, and this one is still loose to some degree. So it needs more felting. You don't peel it up while you're working, just keep it flat. If you're using non-aggressive needles, even up to a 38 star is much more aggressive than a 40 triangle or a 42 triangle, and it's going to leave bigger holes. So I do like to use a 42 triangle or a 40 triangle, and I'm willing to be patient and keep poking to get it all flat. And that's the only way to get all of this flat. You want it flat before you go to mount it on anything. So needle felt it all nice and smooth, and when you're ready, you can peel it up. But we're going to jump to this one and work on our stems. So for our stems, we gave you a swoop-de-dooped on this one, and this one is just a little straight. And I like to make these, now I've liked the gray wool, you might like the clay wool or the dark brown wool or a mixed, it doesn't really matter, but the gray does stand out really nicely on this olive background. So you can still see some of my fibers are loose here, especially after you peel it up the first time, it's going to be loose. So once you peel it up, go back and needle felt everything so that it is flat again after you peel it up. So, but for my gray, for my stem, I'm going to do gray, and you may as well grab a long piece because that's real easy to work with. And you can see here that I like to add a little highlights and a little lowlights, and you can just work with whatever colors that you have. Okay, so I'm going to start, well, you can start here or you can start here, and it doesn't really matter because you can go back and fill it in, but it's kind of nice to have as much as you need. So if you pull it here and you can draft it, and then we're going to do a loop in this one. So just get it kind of thin without breaking if you're able to, so that you can just pull enough off. And it's going to kind of loop around and then come down. This is probably still a little more than I need. Okay, so, but I'm going to make it nice and thin. So we'll just start right here, and we'll come and fill this in as we get to that point. Get all this out of your way. Just anchor 2 parts down. We're going to fill in the bulk of this. We can always come back and add to it, but just snake your way around. It's okay to start with a solid and then come back in and add some blended coloring over the top. If you have black, you want to go a little darker in some spots, you can. You might even decide to make this gray your darkest part of the stem, whatever you like. And if you don't like these stems, you get the pattern or you get the PDF or the kit, and you don't like these stems, then don't trace that part. Don't trace that part at all. You can even cut out your pumpkins to be individual and place them slightly differently, but they are cut off in the pattern. We didn't make the whole pumpkin because that was the design. McMac112 asked, do I twist as I draft? No, I don't twist as I draft because it's harder. I mean, you might want to twist if you're not wanting to break the fiber at that point, but I don't tend to, no. Honestly, if this breaks, it doesn't really matter, but a twist would generally be used for yarn, and I don't really have a reason to twist because then I'll have to untwist. Now, you could lay this down twisted if you wanted to and get a little more texture out of there, so you could twist it to lay down, but I actually wanted to make a really flat picture and not a picture in relief. You could build up the fiber if you wanted to and make this multi-dimensional, but my goal was to make it really flat because I'm going to be pressing it onto a card or a magnet. And so I want to tell you, if you do decide to make this poofy and have dimension, then you would probably need to glue it onto your card or other backing, because the ironing of it would smoosh it out and flatten it and ruin all that lovely dimension you just put into it. So I think these stems are really fun, or this stem, this week gave you one playful stem in this project is really fun. And then you can really have fun in there and go back and add some just highlights along it. And again, you can do that. See, I broke this. It doesn't even matter. Like this time, I might just instead just start from the end because it's a nice point to start from. So I could now that I've broken it, I'll needle felt just a little past where the fiber ends right there. And then just pull it back in. Okay, so bring this around. Very simple, very simple. And for the highlights, just pull it off when you're ready, and you got a little bit of sheepy stuff in there. That's just some hay, no sweat. It's cleaned, it's washed, it's dried. Freshly laundered hay. Needle felt this really flat, but you can add your designs, and look, you can even blend this. You can blend this with the clay to get some little highlights, or you could just put clay right on top. But if you make a tiny little blend with the clay, then you can just add a bit of highlights here up the stem and just lighten it a little bit. There's really no rules with that kind of stuff. So meaning it doesn't have to be, you don't have to blend the gray with a white or anything like that. You can, use what you have. And some of this I even blended with my orange cream, sometimes on real highlighted parts. So it's really up to you how you want to do that. And I'm just going to put that lighter bit just right up the middle so that the edges stay a little bit dark. And then if you have something darker, or if you want to try your chocolate brown under here, you can darken that underneath part of the stem that loops underneath. So have fun with that, and you're probably going to come back in here and make some parts darker and some parts lighter. This might be a place to draft out your little lines. But have fun with that and make this all nice and super duper flat. It's once you mount it onto your card, it's just impossible to go back and do any more needle felting on top of it. But I do want to show you the process of turning this into a card, and I'll kind of talk you through it short of cutting my piece. Maybe I could use this one. This is just another one I did on a piece of flannel if you have a different kind of fabric around. So this is a little piece of flannel. That's really fun. This is what the back looks like. And then you can turn it into this little Hello Pumpkin greeting card. Maybe you have a stamp you can put on the back or something like that. And then this one, I did miniature, and I did it on this Bordeaux felt, but it's very, very hard to see the pen on a very dark felt, and this Bordeaux is much darker. So I had to do my iron-on transfer pen, and then I went back over it with pen. You can go back over it with ink pen, with the iron-on transfer pen, whatever you have that's going to help you see those lines a little bit. You can trace back over your fabric or whatever is your fabric of choice. Now, to move on, to get this onto a greeting card, just a couple of steps. One is to print out the Hello Pumpkin, if you wish. You can print out the Hello Pumpkin card onto cardstock and then cut it to size. So this is the size that I chose, is a 5x7. And then if you fold this in half, you can position your design so you know where you're going to cut your design. I don't have scoring tools and stuff here with me. Position this on and see like where are you going to cut it. I would be cutting mine, right along those edges. So measure it, draw it out, or you can mount it on here first and then cut it after, because on the back you'll be able to see where that goes. So to mount it on here, what I like to use is the Heat and Bond. I showed this to you in the beginning. This is the Ultra Heat and Bond, and what you're going to do, there are two sides to this paper. The shiny textured side has glue on it, and this is the flat side. So what we're going to do is you iron this onto your pumpkin design, and that's going to make it an adhesive. So we can jump to that, and I'm going to look for a few of your questions. Amy says this would be a good project for an embroidery hoop. Oh, I agree. I think it would be a great one for that. I think there's so much you can do with these cute little pumpkins. And a greeting card was just kind of one of the things I wanted to make, and the magnet too. So for this heat and bond, you want a dry iron. It should be hot. And you want to hold it this time on for like 20, or the first bond actually is only like 3 seconds. So the one tip I have is to make the material, the heat and bond material, smaller than your design. In this case, we'll cut the design out after. But you do want it to go to what the end of the card would be. If you had pre-cut this to size, like say this one was to size, and you put the heat and bond on here, I would keep it just inside the perimeter of the fabric so that you don't bind it to your ironing surface. So let me see if I can get this in frame for you, and we'll make it an attachment, turn it into a bondable thing, and I'm just going to do my best to freehand it here, and we'll cut it after it's on the card. So get your iron nice and hot all the way up. I just put it on the linen cotton setting, and dry, no steam. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to just adhere this. It doesn't take long to initially adhere it to your fabric. They say like 3 seconds, I think. Just get a good attachment. There you go. Then you want to let that cool. So let's pause for a second while that cools, and you'll want to get your card all ready or whatever. So while that cools, I'm going to tell you, if you're going to do a magnet, what's different, just while that cools. So with a magnet, in this case, my magnet, this sticks on a fridge, or let's see, so I have these little tea boxes up here. It is magnetic, but you want to get a strong magnet first of all. And let's look at these little parts. So imagine that this white piece is your pumpkin piece. The white piece is your pumpkin. This is my background. I don't even glue the magnet in there. I'm just going to put it in there. So you're going to attach the heat and bond to the back of your front piece. This is going to be the gluable piece, and then we'll peel off that backing once it's cooled. When you attach these two pieces, when you attach this to the background, my tip is this: to iron around, like iron the corner, the corner, the corner, the corner, the edge. So sort of don't go right over the magnet so that you don't end up with a burnished line of your magnet on your design. Then flip it over and iron from the back. That's just my hot tip. You can iron all over the back. You're going to be putting pressure on that magnet here. So you can see the magnet very clearly here, but not so much on the face. And that has to do with, again, iron the corners and the edges, and then iron from the back. So when we iron these parts, we have to hold it on a little longer. So here we peel this off, and now we have this lovely adhesive pumpkin design, and we want to put that on the face of our Hello Pumpkin card. So position it where you want it. Now, this might be a little bit bigger than your card, so definitely check. You do want it to be straight. Lord knows if mine's straight, because I just, usually I cut out my drawing before that. And we don't want to get anything on our iron surface here, so I'll do my best to get it positioned on there. I had cut that piece exactly to size when I started, so I know kind of I'm in a pretty good place with it. All right, so we're going to iron this to the card, and I'm going to go ahead and open the card up. And let's attach it. Then I'll be cutting off, I guess I made this one a little bit bigger, so I'm going to actually scoot it down. I'm going to scoot it down, actually, this is how I would like it, is so that the pumpkin design comes almost off of the card, but I don't want to attach any of this under here. So I'm going to put I'm just going to put a paper barrier under mine so that I don't get it on my ironing surface. Again, all the way hot, and this does take a little bit longer. I'll come up a little bit. So I just put this paper underneath so that it doesn't show. It doesn't stick to my ironing surface. That's all I want. like 20 seconds it says. But this is felt, which is a very thick fabric. It's, you know, it could take a little bit longer. So someone asked, can you use a sheet magnet? My only tip on the magnets is take your magnet just like this and go stick it on your fridge and make sure it can hold this. But it should hold this well, or because you've got to have another sheet of felt on top, so there's going to be more weight. So you got to make sure the magnet is strong enough to reach through the back of this. Now this is again is another cooling process. Right here, let's see. This is another cooling process, and what I'm going to do is we can cut this off after. So it's not quite attached yet, and I'm going to iron it from the back also. I try not to iron this part that's not part of that because it tends to want to buckle, but watch your iron here. See how this is all here? What I don't want to do is get this stuff on my iron. Usually I do cut it in advance, but I do not have my cutting mat in here. So don't get this stuff on your iron because it won't be fun to clean off. But you can iron it through the other side. I'm just going to peel that out of the way. Yeah, I got this glue everywhere. So then once it's all cooled, then you can cut it to size, and you're going to end up with your very own Hello Pumpkin, just like ours, if you go with the greeting card format. So greeting card or magnet. Again, our kit's going to come with all the wool colors that I showed you if you opt for that. It's going to come with the pumpkin patterns, the greeting card patterns, and a link back to the tutorial in case you missed that. We do have the magnets in the shop, and we have felt sheets in just a ton of colors. And I just used regular cardstock today for mine. I don't know, I probably bought it at the office supply store, which is where I like to buy a lot of this stuff. So I hope this has been fun, and if you decide to make your own pumpkins, I hope that you'll tag us. We are on Instagram at Living Felt. We have a fabulous group in Facebook where people just share their work all week long, and just some amazing stuff in there. I think we could do a whole show of just showing the amazing things that people are sharing in Facebook. It's absolutely fabulous. And what else do I want to tell you? If you're looking for some more advanced tutorials, please check out our school, feltingtutorials.com. And we have great classes already, and we have more classes coming this fall. We're always open to your suggestions, so I'd love to see what classes you're wanting to take, or even what tutorials you would like us to do on the live show. And hear what some of you'll have to say. So Carol says there's room on the top of this for a message. I agree, and I decided just to put one inside, but I totally agree. There's room on top of this if you do it this way. Or you can blow your picture up bigger. You could do it landscape. There's lots of different ways you can do it. Karen says she got some sticky on her iron, and she used a very fine steel wool to get it off with no scratches. Good tip, Karen. Thank you for telling us. What else? Lots of fun. Good. I hope you see it. Now listen, if you enjoyed this project, practice your pumpkins this week, because we have a bigger one for you next week. I think it's even more fun because, hey, there's bigger pumpkins involved, but there's another element, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. And that one will have a kit too. So I'm just looking for Fairy Ann to come in with some prizes for everyone who's been chiming in. Really appreciate you all sharing with us today. Someone asks, are they magnets, or are they just the magnets that we sell come in like 10. You get 10 of those little round magnets that I showed you. So one pack will give you 10. Let me see what other questions you have. Someone says they didn't know that the heat and bond would work on felt. Yes, it does, at least for something like this, for the greeting card. If I were putting it onto fabric, I would then stitch over the top. So you might use it as just like a basting. And let's see, what else? What kind of magnets do you like to use? We just have some really strong magnets. I don't have like earth magnets or anything special like that. We just have some really strong magnets that we use. And How do you bond to a flat magnet? And I think I showed that. So if there's any other questions, let me know. And I'm going to grab Fairy Ann for our prizes. Here she is. Fairy Ann has been furiously writing down all of your names. Thank you everyone so much for participating. And we have lots of pumpkin people online. And tell them, what did we win today?
Today you win a Hello Pumpkin kit.
Yeah,
you can make your own.
We're going to give away 2 Hello Pumpkin kits to everyone, to the names we draw from today's live chat, and you can comment down below after the live show for your chance to win also. So reach in here, Anne's going to draw the first name. I think I'm supposed to close my eyes.
Yeah.
That's how Anne does it. From our pumpkin bowl. Who you got, Anne? Mine's empty.
Oh, God. Marilyn Book.
And I have Pamela Hammond. Congratulations, gals, and thank you everyone so much for kneading and felting with us today. We appreciate you so much, and we hope you have a very pumpkin-y rest of your week. Thank you so much, y'all. Take care. Bye.
Bye.